my name is Noé. Welcome to our webinar for tax functionality for NAV. For the assistants and the people that who's checking out this webinar, we're going to have a series of topics related to all tax functionality and our agenda that we're going to cover today. And we are going to be at last having a section for questions, right? Oh, excuse me, let me introduce myself. I'm Noé. I'm an NAV consultant with more than 2 years of experience, and also now working with Business Central. All the functionality that we're going to review is going to be with the help of an NAV and Business Central environment, and as well with a PowerPoint presentation for you to make this easier. And later we're going to have this video, and you can request more information. And at the end, I'm going to give you just our personal information, so you have got the possibility to contact us later. So let's then just begin the presentation. Today we're going to once again review the tax functionality. We're going to have an overview of the functionality for operations and how NAV help us to make all the tax calculations related for the different operations that we have. So basically, it's all about a tour of the functionality, general functionality, and it depends, of course, in every country. Taxes have different criteria. They have also specific calculations over different areas. Sometimes, like in the USA, the calculations could be varying according to the state, the city, even, you know, and the county. But most of the countries will be working directly with the specific type of product, and such as if you also taxes if you're importing goods or just buy and sell locally, right? So we will focus on the specific general ways, right? But nevertheless, NAV have different localizations, specifically toward taxes, which are completely different sometimes, you know. So, but we have a general way to work with it. Now, this is our agenda. We're going to show, first of all, the general ways of the calculations and the basics, let's say. So we have a tax intro and the basic operations review. And then how do we perform some adjustments, adjust taxes for operations, and then demonstrate the third topic will be importing taxes. This is related to importing activities, importing of goods. And then correcting a posted tax entry as well, a tax statement reporting, and the calculation of the tax settlement, a periodic tax settlement involving the government and how much you should pay once you are registered. So let's just begin with this. And let's begin first with our presentation for what is taxes, what NAV offers, so you can have a general idea of what we're going to see today. The tax introduction is going to give us just some key points of what you're going to need to understand. So basically, every company collects and pays taxes, right? So different, or your main government tax authority, right? So the rules and rates vary for countries, states, counties, and cities, and must be updated periodically sometimes as tax authorities change their requirements, right? So NAV calculates this for you and prepare even the tax statements automatically for every period. You don't have to prepare these reports anymore. So this is a big challenge for the accounting people to prepare this type of information, and you don't have to do so once you have NAV implemented. So Of course, specific taxation criteria, rate calculations, and reports are specific per country, and we understand that. That's where we implement it, and we follow the different, let's say, politics towards your own tax reporting and periodicity and so on, right? So sometimes also your prices could include or not already your taxes while you sell. We also manage that. Catalogs for different taxes can coexist in NAB. This means that you might have different taxation for the specific products, but in combination with different criteria such as a specific product, this can be sold for one local customer, but the tax could change. The same product can be sold to a foreign customer, so the rate changes, right? So we have different type of taxes for different type of products, different type of customers, different type of vendors, and so on. So tax calculations are set up for specific items, customer and vendor. So this is the standard. It's strange for us to work like that with combinations and with different matrix of different taxes, right? So tax calculations can be set up for the specific city, state, and county. This is the US version, right? So NAB standard work with specific vendor, a customer, and item, and the US version also works with the region. So once you have trade operations with specific states, cities, and counties in the USA, you might have different taxations as well. And this is somehow with the specific countries, right? I'm just here working with the normal implementations we do in Optimus, right? In Latin America and the USA and Canada. So these are the basics for the general criteria. Then taxes also are quite there are different factors in order to calculate a tax. Who you sell to, who you buy from, what you sell, what you buy sometimes. So according to the operation is also the accounting process generated and later for specific GL accounts that you desire. And we have a specific a way of configuring this, so you can then be sure that we are calculating the right tax for you, which I'm just going to demo just in a moment. It's quite the purpose of the presentation is to show you that how once we implement this and how it works and what are the possibilities. So for the tax, a definition of every customer when we implement Navision, which is very important. We review your type of items. We work with you, with the accounting people, and the type of items. When I talk about that, when we make taxation, we would be talking about if we sell raw material, finished goods, services, right? Imported goods as well. These are just some examples of the type of definition that we have, right? So what I'm saying here is that we work with the classification of items, but also that work according to your criteria of taxation, and we must group your items in that specific way. Then we have as well, we do the same with your vendors and customers for purchase and sales operations. In a general way, we could say that we would be creating taxes, and we need to group your vendors and customers as domestic and foreign. It depends, right? But generally, this will be the way we would see, because we are going to need then this to classify a general criteria, then to work and make the specific calculations, right, for your taxes. So let's review what do we do in NAB in a general way, right? Remember that this is general and it depends on the type of business and how we then and how we would then be implementing NAB for you. So we have here a regular item card. We see a bicycle. So we have a lot of information where we set these items for you. And well, for the people that already has NAB, Then we also can have some specific, we are showing only now the steps required for the items. So we are mentioning that we work with items, we work with customers, and we work with vendors. So what we do is, first of all, do you want, in this case, you can see these two setups in the red squares that we have for the items. So the first is one. The first one is a setup that it will be helping us when we sell an item. So we could show a price that already has VAT calculated and is being showed as the price is being linked to the sales operation. It can the tax can be included in there, or then also we can separate it. It depends on your internal politics, right? Or decision, in other way better, of how you actually sell. And then later we have the product, a field that we call the bad product posting group. This is just a classification. So I could say that sometimes I need to classify my items most of the time, so I can decide how to tax them, all right? I could decide that maybe I only have one tax in my entire country, so I just need to classify the type of items and have a specific, maybe I have just called this retail, but in my country, for instance, in Mexico, we calculate 15% as the regular tax for an item for selling and purchase operations. So I would call it then the 15% tax as an example, right? But we might have different, for my list for the government, we can have services, we can classify sometimes in different countries, you have taxes for different stock products or services products or retail or wholesaling. If you purchase or sell items from or to the government, also we could then work with that, and that's why we have a specific categorization or grouping for the different vendors, right? We might have as well, we have two fields here. For the vendor card, we could just dedicate when we purchase, in this case for the vendors, we could just indicate that for certain vendors, they're showing our prices with the VAT included or not. And then once again, we could classify our vendors. In this example, we have export, right? Meaning that they are foreigners, but we need to classify the vendors. So we could have local, foreign, government, right, and so on. So this could be then helpful. Then I'm going to show you in a moment why do we then classify this way. But this is just best practice for working with taxes, right? And we do exactly just the same with customers. We just classify them as local, export, right? We decide if we sell with the tax included in your prices. And very important, we also need to work with currencies, all right? So don't forget, NAB is a multi-currency environment. So that's the way we also work with our operation and as well with taxes. So once we have decided, we work together, we consultants work together with you to classify your items, your customers, and your vendors, and then we work this way. We create a matrix for your taxes. This is just a sample. In the first column, we have different type of, in this case, for instance, customers and vendors. This could be export, European Union, and domestic, right? And in the second column, I'm indicating that I have different type of taxes for different products, right? Which VAT 25%, 10%, or no VAT, as an example, in the first lines. So with this, I'm just saying, okay, for exported goods, then I have different taxes, 25, 10, and no VAT, right? And also I have the connection with my specific GL accounts. So we classify your items and your purchase and sales operation if they are for imported, exported, local or domestic operations. And why? Because we need to connect those with the specific GL accounts that we are going to, we need to review also with you and with the customer the specific GL accounts that you use for that, all right? And specifically because what we do is that we are going to perform activities for having withholding tax, and we are going to capture every purchase operation that we have, and we are going to withhold the tax until we sell the item. We also have thousands of operations for every specific for the specific periodicity that you want to control for your withholding tax. And once we say that we are ready to pay the taxes for the government authorities or tax authorities, the NAB will be doing all of this and will be calculating for you with the thousands of operations that we record for purchasing and sale. We're going to be calculating the amount specifically that we're going to be paying for the tax authorities, and that's all. So this is a really powerful tool when it comes to taxes, right? And we also are going to be preparing your specific tax reports, right? So with this, what we are going to say that what we are saying is that every type of operation that you manage, we're going to have specific GL accounts. We record every transaction, and at the end, this is helpful for preparing the information for tax authorities. That's why we do this type of work. Now, let me just show you very easy, very fast in NAB, just some entries, how NAB work with this. We specifically for purchase and sales, right? We have a lot of transactions that could handle sales, financial operations, of course, all of them, banking, financial charges, sometimes also purchase indirect costs, direct costs with manufacturing. But as a general way, we could say that either we have income or we have outcome where we need to calculate where we calculate taxes, right? So the basic operations in this case would be just a regular sale, a regular purchase invoice. These are the most common operations that actually withhold tax. And this is the way now I'm changing to NAB. This is the actual Business Central tool that we have. And in this case, within our financial management, we have set up all the taxes before in our matrix, right? And when I just go and try to create a purchase invoice, what I need to do is work directly with my purchasing document. This is just an example. I'm going to create a new purchase invoice. In this case, what we do whenever we create a purchase invoice for the first time, just let me give you a tool. We need to insert our vendor. And this is a header of a purchase invoice document that we have just in this pop-up window. And this is just a vendor. The contact is Mr. Michael Sean Ray. And then what we need to do once we create a purchase invoice is just create the information for that purchase. I'm just going to buy any item just to show the specific taxation. In this case, I'm just working with a bicycle, right? This is the purchase that I have here in the center. I have my lines, and I can continue to insert different components for my purchase. I could insert a GL account to maybe insert an expense, items, fixed assets, or charge items. All of them could handle specific taxes. How and then where do we see this type of information? Well, because of I'm purchasing this component, this item, I can see that I have a direct cost associated with my item, and I have a specific price that is in this moment just showing the price with the multiplied by the quantity, the direct unit cost multiplied by the quantity, and I have a total amount upon where for this amount I'm going to have tax calculation, by the way, in US dollars. So we could have also calculations per currencies, right? So with currencies. So I have in this moment 10%, as we can see here. 10% of 5,000 is 500, and I have a total calculation then for this purchase, right? So this is the normal way we will be working with taxes. Let me show you now on the statistic window of this purchase. The statistics are going to show me the specific values only without all this item information. So this is like a brief general information that is going to be helping me with the specific amounts only. So I can see also if I have discounts, I can see the tax rate. In this case, is showing me 10%, right? So it's going to show me the local currency amount of this specific purchase. So also we have exchange rate associated. And maybe we work with local currencies in our accounting transactions once they are registered, right? And most importantly for our session, we have the tax rate 10% showed here. This is handled because of the type of product I'm purchasing and where am I purchasing. So am I importing? Is this just a local purchase and everything this is just automated by NAB? So this is the statistic window. And let me just show you the GL account entries that are shown that are related to every transaction, either if it's handling taxes or no. So first of all, I have my GL entries. Let me just show you what type of accounts I manage here. First of all, I have my purchase account that is handling the total amount for the purchase, right? Then I have one specific account that is related, in this case, for the specific type of tax. So you can decide which accounts you're going to be using for your taxes. You can see here that I have for my total tax calculation, first of all, my sales tax, and then I have my purchase tax. So in NAB, we manage just one segment for the entire taxes operation. Let me show you this very briefly. And this is just an example, right? So we will be working with your specific taxes and the way you work with them in your accounting and in the GL accounts catalog. So I have here different sales tax accounts, and then below I have my purchase and my expenses accounts. And this is not related to this is the specific tax segment that I have in my GL catalog, and then I have the total, right? So in one single segment, NAB is just actually helping me with the calculation with the and I'm going to be able to see in the total of this segment how the purchases and the expenses accounts are being deducted from the sales that I'm, so I can again are withholding a calculation in advance, right? So, but don't forget that we actually are going to be working with your tax statement, and the consultants will be working with you to generate a template of how you actually would like to report your taxes, and we generate that for you, so you just can print it and give it to your tax authorities. Now, when I just continue with my GL entries, I also have my accounts payable. So this is for the vendors for my accounts payable section, all right? So I'm registering the taxes, the purchases, and the accounts payable in this example. But most importantly, I'm going to have a VAT entry or tax entry where I can handle how much am I, in this case, generating the tax generated for this purchase. According to the base amount, which is 3,244 pounds in this case, then the amount calculated for taxes that I'm going to be working on withholding in this case is 324, which is 10% of the base amount, okay? This is exactly the detailed information that we're going to generate for the reports that we're going to be generating. So this is also we can generate for your transaction the specific country of the generation of this specific entry, right? We also have the VAT calculation type is normal VAT, but we could also have a different type of calculations for type of taxes. We could also generate importing taxes as an example, which could be a completely different catalog of taxes. So different catalog of taxes exist. And this is closed because I have not just, I haven't paid, or I need to compare this with once I sell this item. If I sell them, then I will be then balancing my transactions of taxes once I have just generate them. So in order to work with this, I'm just going to need to post this transaction. Let me just post and print. And with this, I will be generating, after I just post this transaction, I will be generating the actual entries that I just showed. Well, in this case, I'm not going to be saving my purchase invoice, but what I have done just here is I have generated and I have shown you how this actually just works. Every time you record a purchase or a sales operation, this is going to be then register your transaction and the taxes calculated for the specific transaction, right? So let's work and let's see our tax entries. Every time you generate a purchase or a sales operation or a specific financial operation, such as banking transactions, fees generated, secondary generated fees for different operations that you pay and so on, you might be generating or tax calculations, right? So these are the VAT entries list that NAB records, right? And all these registered transactions come from different type of documents: invoice, credit memos, financial operations, purchase, sales, and so on, right? So you can see a complete list and the related information of this specific transaction. Are they domestic, export or imported transactions, the date, and of course, we have, at last but not least, you can see here the base amount and the amount generated for that specific transaction. So it is very important that you can see the amount of the tax is calculated on the specific base amount that you have for your taxes, right? So we have everything, any detailed information is just here. We register everything, so every period we can then, at last but not least, generate your reports. But here let me show you here. Let me better open NAB. Okay, let me show you the tax entries directly in the ERP. Okay, so here I can see the same entries. So I can, for instance, here see that I have one invoice that was imported. I can see the total amount. Well, in this case, the base is 0 because the total is just taxes that I'm paying for this imported transaction coming from the Great Britain and so on. I have no VAT or no taxation for some of them, and I have some of the transactions that calculate 25% for some purchase and sales operations, all right? So I have a lot of different transactions. So as well, I have a chart here that is showing me, hey, you have some transactions for exported, European Union, and domestic type of taxes transactions. All right, so also I have the specific amount in this chart, and also I have one axis that is showing me whether or not I have already paid my taxes. So in this case, no. I have this red square. This is the amount of the purchase transactions related, well, the tax calculated for purchase transactions. In blue, the tax calculated for the sales, or in this case, if for export transaction, this in red, we have the domestic operations. And if I have paid these amounts already, in this case, is not yet, right? So with this, you in a split of a second, you can see how your tax transactions in this period actually are, right? So this is very useful. These are just showing you, if you want to just maybe review the as a list or in a chart, you can filter for specific periods or dates your specific transactions, right, and so on. So this is more or less the way we work with the tax transactions. In a split, you have now understood what do we do. And let me show you now the important tax, the different type of taxes that we have. Okay, if I go back to NAB, as you can see, I have here domestic, European Union, export taxes, and this is just the sample entries that I have, but we calculate this and we classify your taxes according to your own criteria. So let me show you those, just the tax costing setup. With this test or sample information for taxes, I have just generated these samples. So I have the same domestic, European Union, and export type of transactions in combination with type of products. So I have imported goods, I have goods that have no taxation, some of them with them, and some of them with 25%. Right? So we must combine the specific operations with the different rates, and here I have different GL accounts for the different type of transactions, right? So I have purchase accounts and I have sales accounts. So as you can see, we generate a matrix, so this is quite complex. Yes, it is, because of course taxes are complex. We don't have to mention that, but we need to cover, and we work with our customers so they can generate all the type of taxes they manage, right? So it's not a problem to work like that for us. Now, let's work directly with one specific type of tax, which is the importing tax. Sometimes we need to import our goods, right? And this requires that we treat the whole amount as imported. The whole amount is just tax, so we generate just an invoice that will be only containing taxes, right? This is quite strange for the people who is not importing. For the companies that are not importing, this is not required. So what do we do with this specific criteria? We just separate it because the imported taxes are being calculated by your tax authorities. For instance, in the Caribbean or here in Mexico, we have specific tables where we review what type of item we manage, right? In every country, whenever we import, we need to review this tax authorities information for different goods that we import, and we need to review that. And there, in every country, different software actually exists. So whenever we purchase something, the different customs are calculated upon the type of product, type of materials sometimes. So this is a very complex functionality that we have whenever we work with imported tax products, right? But in NAB, what we do, we generate, of course, a type of tax that is only VAT, so we can generate a transaction for every purchase item that we manage, that we import. So what we do is we generate a normal purchase invoice or purchase transaction, and in a second transaction, we generate another invoice that is going to be only that is not being calculated by NAB. So this is not like 10%, 15%, a constant, right? This might some imported purchase contain thousands of different variables to calculate imported taxes. So we let we can just generate receive the invoices from our foreign vendors, and we just review that, and we generate a second invoice only containing the specific import information. And then, because NAB cannot calculate that, we generate an invoice specifically containing only imported amounts, all right? So important that the tax will be only just calculated with no, without the help of NAB. Let me just show you a little bit of that. It's very easy. Let me just come and generate another purchase invoice. In this case, I just once again need to select a vendor, and let's say that, okay, I'm importing goods, all right, generate your purchase order, and NAB knows when you are actually working or not with specific, and we set up the items that you will be importing, so they, in NAB, we don't calculate your taxes, all right, because this is once again complex, and we might need that your tax authorities calculate that for you, all right? So you receive the information, and in this case, we will need to select a specific criteria for imported goods. We have the possibility to generate any type of tax, right? So let's say that, okay, for this vendor, London Postmaster, I will be importing goods. All right, so I just need to generate a purchase, and in this case, I will be generating a second invoice for taxes, but that this 500 as an example is just calculated previously, right? It's not calculated by NAB. So the total VAT or the total calculation is only the specific amount for my line in this case, right? So the way I will be then just working is very easy. I just need to work with my type of items that I will be working with, and decide sometimes how I work, right? The bicycle indeed could, when I imported, I cannot calculate the taxes within NAB, so I have a functionality where I just can immediately just input information that will be just considered just as tax, right? So I don't have to double calculate that. But for normal operations, what I do is just use NAB to calculate the taxes for me, all right? So we have a different criteria to calculate different type of taxes. Mm-hmm. Now, whenever I just work with that, I also need to understand that I also can adjust sometimes my tax amounts, and how do we then work with this, all right? In NAB, we have different type of setups, but first, in order to adjust, we need to, either for sales and for purchases operations, I have two different type of setups, all right? So in the first place, in the left side, you can see one window that is the sales and receivables setup. And here we have one setup that is going to tell me, allow the VAT differences. So for sales operations, and in the second for purchase operations, am I going to allow differences? So this means that NAB is going to calculate the taxes for you, or if you are importing goods, well, you need to clarify that you will be just working with imported setup, all right? So you work with your tax authorities who are going to calculate the amounts for you, and you just then import or just manually input the previously pre-calculated tax amount, right? But sometimes when you receive the actual invoice from your vendors or from your customers, you might have decimal differences because of the different decimal roundings or the currency exchange rate. So do you allow manual corrections? So you need to fit specific amounts of your different documents, right? So in this case, you can allow it, and in the general ledger setup, which is for the entire system, we can say that, and you need to specify a difference that is going to be allowed for the entire ERP. In this case, as an example, in the general ledger setup, I have allowed 1.5 pounds in this case. The difference allowed for the different purchases and sales operations. So whenever I have a difference, yes, I can adjust that amount. And also, you would need to generate, if you work with different currencies, the difference allowed, if you allow differences by currency, right? So whenever you purchase in US dollars or in any currency, the difference could be completely different from different type of currencies that you actually manage. So this is important. So we have control on every detail when it comes to taxes. So let me show you a very fast one of our purchase adjustments. So you can see how it works. I'm going to just create a new invoice. I'm going to create a purchase invoice, and I'm going to be purchasing an item. For me, I just need to generate, I'm going to be purchasing 10 bicycles, right? So I have total amount for 5,000, and the specific tax calculated for that purchase is 500. So, well, let me just try to change, let me change the unit cost by 1.99 so we can have decimals. So in this case, this is the total amount of taxes, 501.99, all right? So sometimes it could be by different, when we have a lot of items, right, either NAB could be rounding this type of amounts according to also the criteria that we decide together. Sometimes we need to round up, or round to the nearest amounts when we have too many decimals, right? And surely this type of transactions can handle sometimes dozens of decimals, but we need to round up to 2 at most decimals in our totals, in our invoices, right? So when we receive this type of invoices from the vendor, we could have differences. That's normal, and we handle that within NAB as a normal operation, right? So in this case, I'm going to need to review those differences with the actual incoming document from the invoice. By the way, we have the possibility to attach documents to our purchases, so we can actually verify the actual information. So once we have a difference or such a rounding difference, I just need to maybe just come into my purchase and just maybe make an adjustment, right? So I am handling in the statistics the amounts of these purchases, and I have one area dedicated only for the taxes. So for this purchase, this is the VAT amount I'm handling, but it could be that instead of 501.99, we could be rounding, or your vendor gives you the specific amount rounded to the nearest. It could happen, so we could be seeing information like this. And rounding up my total amount of this purchase. Excuse me. So is the total VAT amount or tax amount rounded up will be 502. In this case, I would need then to make a manual adjustment, and this is just possible because I can allow, or I cannot allow this type of adjustments within NAB, and you can control that for your purchase or either sales operations, right? And also the difference that I said for this type of purchases was 1.5. So what could happen if I just change the amount that I will be adjusting for my taxes. Okay, I have just rounded up incorrectly this bad amount. So what I'm saying is that accidentally I have rounded up more than 1.5 my purchase operation. So NAB is telling me you are not allowed to do so because the maximum difference is 1.5. All right. So this is a type of controls that we have. The same works for a sales operation, so it's not a problem. It's just exactly the same. But the process goes like this. So if you allow to have differences, we could just post general journals, purchase and sales operations, and you can control whether or not in specific operations you actually allow that difference. All right. So once you have this, you just need to post your operation, and voila, you're then just finish with the transaction, right? So that's the way we just adjust, as an example, one purchase. And then as a general way, you have seen that we work with the specific customers, type of product with different percentages, right? Now, periodically you need to start working on your reports, right? What we do in NAB is that we generate this for you. You don't have to work with this anymore. And the good thing about this is that any consultant review with the accounting people those reports that you need to deliver. We are not saying we can customize if you want it the layout even, but that's a customization per country because you may understand that every localization is completely different in every country. But what we do with this so-called statement is that we at least give you the quantities, okay? So the pre-calculated quantities that you can later, of course, review and adjust, right? So we generate the tax statement amounts in NAB, so you can then easily generate your layout easily, right? So in Business Central or NAB, if you already have implemented this, we can generate the tax statement for you. So if your company has been entered or registered in the value-added taxpayers as a general way, you are required then to submit the periodic report statement to the federal tax, right? So this is to be done monthly, quarterly, or every 6 months. Business Central helps with this process when compiling the form. So we might not have the layout, but we understand the requirement of defining your sales tax minus your purchase tax and defining the operation. So we just generate this report, so we compile them. We automate the calculation process with detailed information, so you can see the detail. So it's not a problem for us. Then the tax template is configuring within Business Central with the help of a consultant, so you can just work with that directly, all right? So this is just a sample statement, okay? So in this case, we generate a monthly statement, all right? You can name it, and you can decide how you want to show your amounts. If you have local currencies, you need to report normally in local currency, right? So we generate your purchases minus your taxes, so you can, your sales taxes minus your purchase minus any type of expense. This is a very short statement because this is just a sample, but it's showing you the idea, right? You might have overseas or domestic type of liabilities for your taxes, and we generate the VAT payable, right? The VAT payable for the tax authorities. So this is the amount that you are going to pay. In this test or in this sample, 384. But this generates exactly this for you with the specific requirements for the specific purchase type of purchases, imported goods if you manage them, with the specific expenses when you manage them, and with the specific rates, and we can just generate this for you. So this might not be the specific layout that you deliver to the tax authorities, but this is exactly what you need because you first need to generate your amounts easily, and this is all automated. For me to generate a statement, once I have Business Central or NAV if you don't have this setup called Optimus, and we can generate this for you. And you don't have to spend an entire day on this activity, but only 5 minutes. So let me just show you this in NAV with more detail. I have periodic activities that I do within my financial management, such as, well, receivable, payable, some consolidations, the currency, and fiscal year operations. Some of the periodic activities that I manage is the VAT or tax calculations, of course. Then I just need to prepare the VAT statement for the company. And what I have here, just as an example, right? I need to specify, okay, what is the actual calculation for the tax, the correct calculations for the company? All right, first of all, I need to understand that sometimes I need to work with the actual amounts upon I'm working with the taxes, all right? So in this case, I have the sales operation minus the purchase operations minus the taxes operations. So the total deductions and it will be helping me then to calculate the sales minus the withholding tax to generate the VAT payable, all right? So this is just before generating and printing your reports, we decide with your consultant how you actually calculate this, what taxes you include, what type of operations. So in this case, we decide to include the sales operations, first of all, with 25%, with 10% outgoing, with purchases generated in the European Union, and the 10% European Union purchases, minus the domestic purchases for 25, 10%, and so on, all right? So we generate a logical criteria of how to formulate the taxes. You need to tell us how you want to do so. And then later, okay, you might have some taxes and you might have coming from your specific expenses of different criteria. Just as an example, I have fuel, electricity, natural gas, and so on. So also I have other total deductions. Well, it depends. I will be then just calculating what would be the deductions that I have coming from my different expenses. So with this, I'm just saying, okay, I have a specific criteria that I generate. I need to formulate that. All this information, of course, comes from my purchase sales accounts, and I just extract this a very powerful engine that I have in NAV. I extract my taxes from my sales and purchases accounts and operations. So I then calculate, at last but not least, the formulation for the VAT payables. Once I have this, I can just even preview. I don't need to wait for the end of the period to review the taxes that I will be paying. I can just preview them on real time, right? So for instance, the sales VAT for 25% in this example have currently, up to now, the domestic sales operations related to the calculation of 25%. I have also the same domestic sales operations, but with 10%, currently have these specific amounts, all right? So I need to continuously monitor my operations, and so I can see whether they are okay or not, even before or when before delivering to the tax authority. So I have the detail, if I click on the 3 dots that I have here, of the specific transactions that were already posted, all right? So in this case, I have all my sales operations that currently are calculating taxes, the origin, the country origin, the specific amounts that I have here, and the base upon the tax amount was calculated here. So for these calculations, I can see also if they were closed already. Closed means that I have paid, or I have considered this for my periodic statement. Once I have considered my transaction for my statement and then I pay to the tax authority, this transaction can be closed, so cannot be considered twice for another type of, for another period or for the VAT payment calculation, because once I consider it, then it means that it's already balanced. So I can compare my withholding tax with the sales operations, and then I can understand whether I have just closed my operation or not, right? So another type of a review that I can do is, okay, I can see my closed operations. So this is the actual tax that I have already paid. You can specify the date filter, so you can see how much you have paid in different periods. And if you have reporting currencies, you can add it. And so, well, the whole idea is that you can, well, just preview before the reporting to the tax authorities is done. You can just continue to review with detail every operation that you have. So you have the VAT entries related, so you can see, and you can adjust any amount, by the way. On your purchases, on your sales, you are allowed to post a maximum difference like we have already shown. Last but not least, when it comes to my taxes, I need to perform the settlement of the taxes, which means that periodically the net tax must be remitted to the tax authorities. To calculate these amounts, we run a functionality, specific functionality that we call the post-tax settlement batch job. Okay, what it does, first of all, this is the automation for you. It calculates the taxes settlement of open tax entries in the previous accounting periods up to the last date you calculate this. Then find all the tax entries in the tax entry window that we have shown for every tax posting group, a combination that are included in the filters. And this can be used to start posting processes or to print a test report. And you can use it as frequently as you want. So let me show you how to settle the taxes. So we have registered, let's say that through any specific period, the last month we have purchased and we have sold all items, and NAD has calculated the different tax present, the different type of taxes for your different operations. The first thing to do is that I need to preview my operations that, which I have already shown before. And you need to review the details, and in case they are correct for the specific period, you might need to print your report, right? So this is just the previous report that I showed to you, and if you wanted, we can customize this for the specific country that you want. If you actually just want to just print it and just right away give it to your tax authorities without having to do anything. But at least you have the actual amounts that we designed in this matrix that we are showing here in the VAT statement window. So last but not least, once we have done this and we know that the taxes are correct, we know that every sale purchase tax is being calculated properly for the period, then at least we need to calculate how much we are going to be paying for the tax authority. How do we do so? We have one functionality for this, and this is the calculate and post VAT settlement function. This button helps me to calculate how much, according to the specific sales and purchase transactions for the withholding tax, how much I need to pay to the tax authorities. By clicking on this button, I just need to specify the starting and final date for my specific scope of transactions that I want to bring and calculate. But at this moment, I just want to see all the transactions for my specific period and from the past up to the present, all right? Now, the document number, well, in this demo, I'm looking that I'm on February, so this is the document number, the tax for February of 2019, and this is just because it's a demo, but this would be then June, okay, the tax for June document. And I will be generating a journal, financial journal containing the information that I will be paying, and I will be transferring my taxes to the specific bank settlement account that I require dedicate for the taxes that I need to pay, okay? So in this example, I have one VAT payable account. Let me show you. In this taxes section of my different accounts, I have the sales tax accounts, I have the purchase tax account, and as well, I have my expenses account. Once I do this, I will be then crediting and debiting my accounts, so I can generate a VAT payable a transaction, right? So then I will be balancing to zero any taxes that I have paid, and I will be considered as a payable. So the VAT payable account, I need to create one account for my VAT payable, and I will be then generating this specific transaction and consider the VAT payable as the final transaction I need to do periodically, and so I could, I don't know, maybe generating a check from my tax authority, right, automatically. So you don't have to do anything else. So with this, that's all. I'm just going to print in PDF my report. So let me show you what is being generated. Okay, I have a sample report for the period. I have calculated and post my settlement for the taxes. So what type of taxes I have paid? Well, first of all, the type of taxes that you can see here as in my sample test, I have a domestic operation for imported taxes considered as purchases, and I have 2,500 that I'm actually just withholding, right? So the taxes that I also consider for purchases and for 10% operations for 555 in this case pounds. So this is normal, and I have reversing as well, by the way, reversing type of taxes, normal VAT, normal taxes, and import or full VAT. All right. Remember that every time I import something, I can consider that is full VAT, full tax for me. So I have all type of taxes for purchase and sales operations. I have the amounts, so I can see in detail what I'm considering in my report. In this case, the total is here is minus 158,000. So with this, what I'm saying is that I'm considering all the type of taxes, and I'm just using the criteria specified so I can consider my sales, my purchase, and my expenses in my company to have the total amount to pay. This is done automatically by NAB, and by the way, this is just a sample settlement report. We can customize this if you require one specific report. And don't forget that, well, this is PDF, but I can work with Excel or with Word according to what you actually just require, all right? So here, now the closed amounts have just changed. I have for my period. So we can see that I have paid or I have posted my transaction, my transaction. So at this point, what I just required, let me just go to the 5780 VAT payable account, and I have generated the minus 158 pounds into this account as VAT payable, so I can, in just one single account, control all the taxes that I'm paying to my tax authorities. Remember that I have just balance my previous accounts to zero, and I have here only the total amount to pay. Okay, so this is the tax for February in this example, and I will be having the taxes for every month in this specific account. So once I have this, these amounts are here, and I could be generating a check with these amounts to tax authorities, and now whenever I want to review my entries, just need to preview your information and review the information that is still open. Look, I have no open sales or purchase open transactions. These are zero because I'm selecting the open filter. And let's try to take a look at the closed transactions that I have already considered to be paid. So they are closed, right? And these are already the amounts. So you can just review regularly the amounts that you are paying, all right? And in a glimpse, let me show the bad entries. And in this case, I have no amounts, no bad entries. This is zero. So what I'm showing here is that I have already paid my taxes. So in the previous chart, we have some columns to be shown here. But at this point, I don't have any taxes that are yet to be paid. And this is the way, more or less, that NAB can be helpful for you. We automate the taxation process. We give you some information that you in a glimpse can understand how your taxes are for the specific period. And you can actually just continue doing at this point. You can continue with your purchase and your sales operations, of course. You can see, by the way, the status of my transactions, all of them are closed. So I can consider that I have finished my taxation process for the period, but this only took minutes for me, so you don't have to stop any process. We continue to purchase, we continue to sell. If you have a POS or LS Retail integrated already or implemented, this is just exactly the same. Plus, we could be just integrating your retail taxes when you haven't your importing taxes. We could, why not to integrate a third-party software to NAB so you can integrate your pre-calculated customs, but in a general way, this is just exactly the same. We automate the process for you. You don't have to work anymore with bad reports. Everything is pre-configured with the consultant, and you, at last but not least, generate in 5 minutes the entire accounting process to this your specific GL settlement bad accounts or tax accounts. So as you can see, it was very easy for me to understand and have the correct management of my taxes without errors, which is very, very important. So with this, we finalize the presentation for tax functionality with NAB. Thank you very much. My name is Wilma Noe. I'm a business transformation consultant, and I will be pleased to receive any requirement or any doubt that you have with your local taxes calculation doubts that you have. I know that in every country we might have different type of criteria, but as I said, this is just a general presentation for the webinar, and we have localizations for all the countries where we are currently working. Our Business Central is currently present, right? So it's not an issue for us to just, if you want to understand how this works for your specific country, we could happily prepare a demo for you so you can see how this process actually works and how this is currently useful and functional for you already. So thank you very much for your time. I don't know if you have any doubts so far, so we could then finalize our today's presentation. Meanwhile, I need to tell you, well, first of all, this is my email. If you want to write me and send me your questions, I will be happy to assist you. And well, this is part of, just to mention it, a part of our regular webinars we have. We're going to have more webinars. Specifically, the next week we're going to be working with assets, fixed assets, and how in NAV we automate the entire process for you. So if I don't have any doubts, thank you very much once again for your time. And I must say goodbye for now, but see you in the following session. So have a nice day, and see you